Hello and welcome back to Pet Food Forum TV. I'm your host, Kristen Levine, and I'm joined now by Dr. Gary Davenport. He is the Companion Animal Technical Manager at ADM Animal Nutrition. Thanks, Dr. Davenport, for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So your presentation was about alternative proteins, specifically
Dried yeast.
Dried yeast,
Yes.
okay. And actually, before we get into dried yeast, let me back up. Why is it so important that pet food companies consider alternative proteins?
Well, we're continuing to live into this consumer expectation of no corn, no soy, no wheat, no byproduct meals. And so pet food manufacturers are needing alternative protein sources to replace those proteins and sources that have been widely used over the years. So they just need alternative ones to consider.
Okay, excellent. So what exactly is dried yeast and how does it supply protein in pet food?
So dried yeast comes from our ethanol biofermentation process, and it's the biomass that results from that, and it's just yeast bodies, and they've been inactivated, they're killed, so they're not active yeast or anything, and so from that they are high in protein, roughly 50% protein, low fat, low ash, and we're positioning them as an alternative protein source for pet food formulations.
Okay, and what have your findings been when you study dried yeast?
So we've done a number of studies, both dog and cat, where we've looked at palatability and digestibility. And what we see in both the dog and the cat, we see palatability benefit, 2-to-1 benefit in cats with food consumption. And in the dog, it was a 2-to-1 benefit with first bite preference, which was surprising because generally you think of using a brewer's yeast for palatability benefits. But in this case, it's a dried yeast that showed a pal benefit. And then we also know that the amino acid composition of this dried yeast is comparable to egg. And egg protein is the gold standard from a protein quality perspective. So we have a product here that, from an amino acid perspective and a protein quality perspective, that matches the gold standard. We also, in testing with cats, we saw where urine pH and the ability of the cat to concentrate their urine, which is important metabolically for the cat, was improved with the yeast, the diet containing yeast. And I should say these diets contained 10% yeast, which is relatively high, but at the same time in our testing we wanted to ensure we had a level that was going to push the dog and the cat, that if there were going to be problems, we wanted to see it. And it was just the opposite effect, that the diets fed well, the cats and dogs both responded well. From a digestibility perspective, they were equal to the control diets. So it all just turned out extremely well from a feeding perspective. If you're looking at egg, the protein, which is a popular, widely used ingredient, it's much more cost effective. As you start looking at other animal-based proteins that can be costly, it will provide a cost benefit as there as well. So it is cost effective.
So, and are there any negative impacts on the pet's health switching to dried yeast?
Not that we've seen at this point, and again, we are positioning this as a protein replacement or an alternative protein, so it could be that you're replacing an entire protein source, or maybe you're just complementing some of the proteins in your diet by the use of this yeast product.
Sure.
So, but yes, we have not seen any negative repercussions on animal health.
Well, Dr. Davenport, thank you so much for sharing your findings with the industry here and also with us here today on Pet Food Forum TV.
All right, thank you, and I appreciate being here.
Absolutely. All right, and we'll be back with more on Pet Food Forum TV.